Let's head one last time around the Inside Politics table. Ask our great reporters to give you a sneak peek into their notebooks. Nia Malika Henderson.
In terms of Obamacare, obviously lots of focus on Congress and in terms of what they're going to do with repealing it and replace it. Also should be some focus on governors, particularly Republican governors. If you look at the expansion of Medicaid particularly, that's covered about 15 million people. And roughly about 10 governors who are Republican governors have this expansion of Medicaid in their states. They are looking to be very involved in terms of what this repeal and particularly the replace is going to look like, because they are on the front lines of these folks in their states who have the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. So they're very concerned about what this is going to look like and want to definitely have a say.
And they may get a backlash against them when that happens.
Yes, exactly.
Ed?
Speaking of backlash on Obamacare, before Thanksgiving, I spoke with Chuck Schumer, the incoming Senate Minority Leader. We had an interview with him, and he's chomping at the bit about this talk of Obamacare repeal and privatizing Medicare. He says, you know, Republicans are silly if they think they're going to do this, because think of all the good things in this law that they don't want to take away. They are preparing to highlight that repeatedly over the course of the next few months if it starts. The idea that 20 million people are covered, that women have more protection and coverage than they ever had before, that younger people can stay on their parents' plans. He says Republicans will rue the day that they decide to try to repeal Obamacare. Same goes for Medicare. His response to that, which he's repeated since, was make my day. Go right ahead and try, because it won't work. If you think about it, Democrats have run against the threat of privatizing or changing entitlement programs before. There's congressional elections 2 years from now. Something says they're probably going to try it again.
It'll be interesting to watch. Chuck Schumer, the new sheriff for the Democrats in the Senate. We'll watch that one, Manu.
Nancy Pelosi is projecting confidence publicly that she will win the leadership elections Wednesday to be reelected as a top House Democrat against Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio. But behind the scenes, she is scrambling to lock down support. She's taken steps to reassure skeptics that she's listening to them, bringing in new voices into the leadership team, also telling these rank and file members that they'll have more of a platform on the committees to voice their positions. But when I talk to a number of members, what they want to hear is a concrete plan for the Democrats to regain the House majority, not necessarily by 2018, by 2020. And she needs to reassure those skeptics. And people are very anxious that she has a plan to do that she is the candidate of the future, not of the past. And that's going to be the test come Wednesday in that secret ballot election, John, so you can never quite predict what will happen.
Be fun to watch a not-so-new sheriff on the House side at the moment. Lisa?
If you're curious about the direction of the Democratic Party, one place to watch is the race to head the Democratic National Committee. The party committee is one of the Democrats' last bastions of power in Washington, now that they've lost Congress and the White House and likely soon the Supreme Court. And there's about a dozen names floating around out there. The leading contender these days seems to be Keith Ellison. He's locked up support from liberals who think the party needs to come out with a more populist economic message. But this week we learned that the White House and some DNC donors don't quite love the idea of Ellison. They're looking more towards Tom Perez, the labor secretary, maybe Jennifer Granholm, the former governor of Michigan. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out. Elections are supposed to be in February. One person everyone's watching, of course, is President Obama. The big question is whether he gets involved. It's unclear whether the White House will go from behind-the-scenes whispers to a public position, but that will certainly influence where this goes.
A lot of Democrats say he didn't care much about the party while he was president, but maybe on the way out he does. We'll watch that one. I'm going to close with a long-ago memory of Fidel Castro and the fits he caused American presidents and vice presidents. I traveled with Vice President Al Gore and then First Lady Hillary Clinton to Nelson Mandela's inauguration as president of South Africa. It was a long time ago, May 1994. And Fidel Castro was among the who's who of world leaders on hand. In the Parliament building before the ceremony, Castro and Vice President Al Gore were in the same corridor and on a collision course. But the vice president zigged and zagged a bit with his Secret Service detail to avoid the encounter. Castro clearly wanted a quick hello, and any recognition of the Cuban dictator back in those days was beyond taboo. So much so that a couple of young White House staffers were actually reprimanded after that trip when word surfaced, pre-Twitter folks, they had stopped to pose for photographs with Castro, who was robust, smiling, and in his trademark military uniform as he mingled at that remarkable event long time ago.